What is up, guys? It's your boy Bezos here, and today we're back at it in the square with another review for you. So let's go straight into it. So today we're here with the Anime K and episode 9 of season 1. So this is a very good and interesting episode, and once again made this anime's plot really stick to me and really make me interested in what it had to offer. So enough chit chat, let's go straight into it. So the anime started, or this episode started, with a 1945 flashback of what seemed to be the younger version of Adolf K. Weissman. Now, if you don't know already, Adolf K. Weissman is the Silver King at the present time. Now, he seems to be doing this test on a lab rat to see how it reacts with the slate. Now, this word slate has cropped up before in a conversation between Munakata, aka the Blue King, and Mikoto, aka the Red King. Now, these two are talking, and Munakata tells Mikoto that, your vitamin levels reach too high, and you have to stop drawing power from the slate. Otherwise, we will see a repeat of the Gugutsu crater. Now, what I seem to get from this conversation was that the slate is where these kings are drawing power from, and what was really interesting and like kind of made me think of a new analogy was that when this lab rat reacted with this slate, it like a small sword of Damocles appeared in the air above it. Now, this made me think that when you have a direct connection with the slate, that's what makes the sword of Damocles appear. And the reason being, I don't know, maybe it's because it's like a pure connection. There's nothing interfering with the way. So, for example, that is why the Seven Kings have swords of Damocles, like when they're arriving or when they're about to do something. Now, the reason that this stuff doesn't happen for people like Mr. Kusunaga is because they have received their power through the king. Now, the king is interrupting the connection between the slate and that person. If it makes sense, for example, it goes the slate and it has a pure connection to Mikoto, then every other connection after Mikoto, it's not pure. It's interrupted by Mikoto himself between the slate. And for some reason, the reason why there aren't many more kings than the seven, I believe, is that the slate is either lost, destroyed, or it's like it can't function anymore. And that is the reason why there are only seven kings, because there were only seven pure connections, and only seven were created before like you could create more kings could be brought brought into like the playfield. And obviously this was never ever ever gonna go to plan, and obviously this thing was gonna be used for war, for danger, for bad, or whether for good, who knows. But I think it was used for bad, and that resulting in the reason why Adolf lost his sister. Now from this point, I believe this is when Adolf like started to do experiments on himself, and this is when he started to become the Silver King, and this is when he started to get powers. Now the reason I think this is because you know the lieutenant who's like with Adolf before his sister dies, goes to Adolf and like asks him a question. I can't remember what the question was, but he says to Adolf a question, and Adolf's like, "Yeah, it's all over. This is my new life." And I feel like he just completely scraps everything that's happened before, and he now starts with his new journey. Anyway, that was the beginning of this episode. Then we hit the theme song, and the theme song continued with what hoped to be the end of the last episode. Now, in episode 8, it ended with, Neko controlling the helicopter and the Silver King, blowing up the ship, or what seemed to be blowing up the ship to take, I guess, I'm not sure, take Neko or take the Blues down with him. I'm not sure where it really was, but, Neko drives into this helicopter and there's a big explosion. We don't really know what happened. And after the theme song in episode 9, the Himaric is crashed into the ground, and it's like on the ground, it's in pieces, and a Blue goes to investigate, and he asks, I think, a police officer what's going on, and the police officer points to these people wearing masks, and this Blue refers to them as being the Usagi. Now, I have more on the Usagi bit later on in this video, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, before the explosion, or like when there was a flashback of the explosion, when there was a flashback of the explosion, not really a flashback, but when they were trying to figure out when they're trying to think of what actually happened, loads of people couldn't actually remember what had gone on. Now the reason for this being is, I believe, it is Neko at work. I mean, we even do see that ripple effect that she has on the screen, where it makes that weird cat noise sound, cat human half breed sound, I guess. And It creates that ripple effect, and I feel like this is because Neko has interfered and altered the memory of people so that they don't remember anything about this explosion. Now, later on in the episode, Munakata, the Blue King, goes to visit this mysterious man. At the time, we don't know who he is until Munakata and this mysterious man, both of their swords of Damocles, appear in the sky or in the air above them. And, I'm thinking, wait, hold on. Does that mean this mysterious guy is a king? And, it is, I'm pretty sure he is a king, and his sword is gold. So I'm assuming that this guy that Munakata met with is the Gold King. So we now have met the Gold King. And obviously, Munakata doesn't want to go there to fight. So he just wants to go chat. And he says, oh, is it possible that the Immortal King, referring to the Silver King, is dead? Now, at this moment, a lot of things sprung to mind. I mean, I was just feeling, whoa, what's going on here? What has happened here? And, we do see an image of the Silver King laying in this pod or in this box or in this like seafood box of what seems to be him lying there, either dead or sleeping or in a coma. I'm not too sure. But I feel like he is not dead because Munakata later on says that, if only the Silver King could die. Like he's talking about the Gold King and says the Gold King is somebody who we can get rid of or something like that, and he's not immortal. If only this was true for the Silver King. Now the reason I believe the Silver King is not dead because of this, I think because the Silver King is said to be immortal, and when you're immortal you can't really die. So maybe he's just in a coma or he is sleeping. I mean, tell me what you think down in the comments below. Anyway, later on in the episode, things start to heat up. And when I mean heat up, I mean they start to heat up. Later on in the episode, Mikoto in his jail cell gets a random call from what seems to be Shiro's imperson. Oh wait, I did say I was gonna mention the Usagi. Something about the Usagi later on. So the Usagi, I believe, are the underlings of the Gold King. They're like the Gold King's police force. So you know how you have the Blues under the Blue King? I believe that the Usagi are like the equivalent, but under the Gold King. Now the reason I think this is because as Munakata is about to visit the Gold King, the Usagi are there, and like the Usagi wear these weird masks, and the Gold King, like one of the Gold King supervisors, also wearing a weird mask, and he's like, "Oh, should we let him in, sir?" And obviously the Gold King goes on to say yes, let him in. And why I think this is in fact is because they're basically wearing the same mask, the same sort of pattern. So I just believe that the Usagi are the same people who are underneath the Gold King. Anyway, moving on, as I was saying before, Mikoto gets a strange call in his jail cell. Now this is when things start to heat up because the person on the end of the person on the other end of this call is who I think to be the person or the whole idea of this murderer of this plot so far. Now this person calls Mikoto, and I think he has it out to get Mikoto and kill him off. So what he does, I think he uses his powers and sends this like weird white ghost fox sort of spirit thing through the phone, and like they have this whole mind battle. Not really a whole mind battle, it's just like a quick battle. And the reason why I think this guy calling Mikoto is not Shiro is because if you looked carefully, you would have been able to see the difference in the hair color. Shiro's hair color is white, it is light, it is bright, and this guy's color was like a brownish. Well, it was brown basically, and maybe darkish brown. That gray brown effect you can get in anime. Yeah, it was that color, and he was calling this guy and used his weird fox spirit. And what Mikoto did, obviously, like this went through the phone. I mean, if you watch the episode, you know what I mean. Mikoto obviously extinguished these flames, and boy, this was dope. I don't know what he did, but he said I think he just set a tracker onto this fox so that when it returned back to this person calling, he'd be able to know the location. And obviously that does happen, and Mikoto like extinguishes or burns and not incarnates. I forgot. He burns this fox spirit, and as the fox spirit's returning back to the owner, the person on the other end of the line pretending to be Shiro, Mikoto has tracked him, and then this is where things get tough. Mikoto now has tracked him, and he's out to get revenge for Totsuka, the guy who died. And he breaks out of this jail, and it is badass. Oh my days! He breaks out of the cell. The Blues think they can't stop him. They can't stop him. He walks out. He meets with the rest of Homer, and they like walk down the road. Now I believe Mikoto has gone to go and kill this guy, go and deal with this guy. I'm not too sure about that, but that's what I think is going to happen. And that whole breaking out scene was badass. I mean, my hats off to Mikoto. Anyway, that's how the episode ended, and I'm really excited to watch episode 10 now, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Anyway, once again, thank you for watching this video. If you have watched up to this point, thank you very much. Please do hit that like and subscribe button in the comments below. Until next time, guys, bells, out.